All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:30 p.m. First item on the agenda this evening. Let me put my glasses on. 16 Old Still Road, application for residential addition. Oh, yeah, thank you. Josh will be seated for Dave Bixler, who's not here this evening. Are you the applicants on this? Why don't you just come on up in this, you can sit right there and sign in if you would, please. Okay. Jean.
Hi, sorry.
Don't worry, I just got here, so don't worry.
Yeah, really not that late.
Sneaking in under the wire here. Terry, do you want to give us a little background on this, or?
Sure. This is this applicant is before us, before you, in a building permit issued by the town, by myself, for a small expansion of the garage on their existing single-family house. And while we made several attempts, the applicant and I, to communicate the details of the garage on several different occasions, when I went out there for a footing inspection, I saw a remarkable thing. The homeowner's excavator had installed a large amount of fill immediately next to his garage, and what appears to be a natural stream, which is very much adjacent to the garage. I don't know at what level the stream is versus what level the garage is, but it's a significant difference between grades.
Yeah, probably 15 and 20 feet.
And we had nothing but great cooperation from the homeowner when this is received. We've since learned that while it looks, when you first look at it, it looks like somebody's filling a stream of a significant depth. We believe that there's a concrete pipe there, and we're not obstructing any flow. And I don't suspect that we're doing much damage. At my request, you've stabilized the slope to the extent that we can. It's quite steep. But we think it needs some sort of action with this agency, and they've been very gracious about making this application to see what we can do to assist them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's something that we need to act on. We can't delegate to you, or?
Well, I would prefer if you would delegate it to me, only because it's in a time as it's an open excavation.
Yeah. This time of year, something will freeze sooner than later, I think.
We've been very lucky so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't identified it when I wrote the building permit. I didn't identify it as wetlands.
Mm-hmm. Do you have pictures? Is that what you have there?
Sure.
Give us an idea, then we can figure out.
In addition to the, you'll recognize this.
Oh, I do. I do. Thank you.
Well, I guess the question is this a wetlands?
I believe it's a water course.
Same thing.
If it's a water course, therefore it's a wetlands issue.
Yeah, I just hate to have it wait till our January meeting before we could do something, so we can't do anything in the meantime to as everything erodes into the stream. Or let me see what the pictures show.
I concur. I think that the best thing to do is proceed with the construction and stabilize the slope as soon as we can. I recognize, however, Jack, the nature of your question is that it's why they've been very gracious to apply here tonight, because if it isn't a wetland, it's probably a water course.
Is this a before picture or?
No.
It's further upstream, right?
Yeah, that's
this upstream.
The backyard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right. The area right next to the house, there is a concrete pipe that runs the length of the house.
And before I knew that, I was much more concerned than I am now, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because this would otherwise be obstructing water flow.
Yeah, oh, and it's definitely not.
Right.
We've
Okay.
noticed,
So if you want to so this is upstream of where we're talking, of the garage then, correct?
yes, so this
Okay.
is, as you're looking at the property, the driveway is here, and this is to the left of the garage.
And this is the addition,
And-
is that the footing?
That is the footing trench for
For the-
the addition. And then this would be way in the background, back here.
Okay.
This was just so you can get a sense of what the brook looks like in
Okay.
general, but this is not near the house.
And where's the
This
brook
is
in relation to the footing trench here?
down below the
Below the
silt,
silt fence?
the silt fence and the hay bales down here. So
Okay.
I don't know if you have it, but I had submitted
Yeah,
in
there's like
the
a-
packet.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, in the
That
packet.
was easier to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a concrete pipe. We've checked it as it rained, and it hasn't obstructed the flow at all. It's still flowing nicely. It's nice and clear. And we did install the silt fence and the hay bales and everything to keep it.
What is the concrete pipe? I mean,
It's about yay wide.
what's it hooked to, or where's it?
On one side, I can see, I didn't go personally back into the back, but there's a head wall on one side. It seems to be permanently installed, of some age, by the way. I would imagine it's contemporaneous with the subdivision.
76, yeah. Yeah, if you were to look at the side of the house, this is the view that you would see. So looking at the garage is here, this is the driveway coming in, and so in the length of the house, there's this pipe that the brook runs through. So I think there might have been some fill material, or they didn't want the house to slide into the brook when they built it, so that pipe runs the length of it. So the fill material that's been added is kind of overflowing the top of the pipe.
So basically, the fill material is not technically in the brook because the brook's underground at that point.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That would be my description of it, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, people can disagree with me. My inclination is to give it to you so they get stabilized in some fashion before things freeze and then melt and then run off. But open to questions or other views on this.
The slope of the fill here,
Yes.
is that how it's going to remain?
It won't be quite that steep. So my understanding at the moment is that he put the fill there to expand that area a little bit. There was about 8 feet of space next to the garage, and we want about 10 feet. So he actually went out to 12 feet in order that he could dig the trench. But then a lot of that material that's sort of on the slope now will get put back into the
It'll be backfilled against
backfill
another
footing
footing.
for that. But I believe that it'll be roughly that the slope that you see, or a little bit less.
Okay, so in this picture, the slab for the garage addition would be
Would be
at
right
this
there.
level?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly. And the foundation wall would be in the middle
Of
that
the trench, and then there'll be backfilling on each
Right,
side.
so that would sort of slide back into
Okay.
this.
But there's no plan for a retaining wall of any sort?
Now, originally we had thought of doing a retaining wall there, but we opted instead to do a full foundation wall. Yeah, so you can see there, that's, so
But
this
there's
right here,
nothing here.
on that side, no.
Okay.
No, but the load, I imagine, would be straight down from there. And so what our plan was to have that fill material on the side and then cover it with fabric paper and pin it in so that it wouldn't erode out, and put some stones down at the bottom and that sort of thing. Like that one there.
Wall?
Yeah, so here it would be sort of the fabric. Here's the pipe. And
Picture of the wall.
So the good news is that this excavated material will not see the brook water. It will see the erosion, the effects of erosion from water falling upon it. And so I think that by using a mat to stabilize it is probably a very good notion to do that, because that's what would protect the fastest. We're not going to be able to grow plant things now, and it's really that plant growth that knits all that topsoil or that soil material back together again.
So just so I understand, this is the brook coming down, it goes into a pipe at some point right near here, then goes beyond the house before it comes to daylight again?
That's correct.
yes.
This brook, stays it in the pipe, or has it? Okay.
Yeah, it sort of snakes into the pipe, goes through the pipe in the area next to the house, and then is open again. So it's open in the front yard, open in the backyard, but in the pipe next to the house.
Even in flood situations?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's a pretty big pipe.
And it's not a new pipe either, by the way, so, I mean, that's the other thing we looked at, you know, it's whether it's a new pipe or an old pipe, and it's certainly
pipe.
an old pipe. So,
Yeah, it's definitely.
Was it put in while you've owned the house, or was it there before you?
No, I believe it was there originally from 1976 when the house was built. So there's, you know, it's a pretty steep ravine there, and they had a bunch of riprap stones against the wall there. And, you know, in the area of the house, it sort of was less steep, and they had it sort of extending out over that pipe. But yeah, it definitely looks original to 1976.
So what if the plan is just to stabilize this now and then pour the concrete in the spring?
Well,
or-
so, I mean, it depends on what you find people tell us, but the plan was to stabilize that. You know, it would be compacted in the area, the filter fabric would go on top of it, it would be pinned in to stop any erosion, there'd be some stones at the bottom to prevent any of it from getting into the actual brook area. The concrete foundation, the footings would get poured first, then the slab would get poured, and then later on, you know, sometime in the future when we have the funds, we would then do the building of the actual garage and put the deck back on up above it. So it was kind of a combination project of, there was a deck that was there existing that was falling off of the house, like you could literally grab chunks of it with your hand, and it was not safe. So we took that down, and we wanted to stabilize that foundation wall because it's settling a little bit. And so we had talked to some structural engineers, and they had said that you could pin into it and stabilize it there. So we wanted to pour this pad, stabilize the existing foundation wall, and hopefully expand a little bit of our space.
That's the foundation wall in this picture?
So the existing foundation wall, yes, is that one right there. Yeah. And it's a concrete block foundation wall. And really, the settlement isn't too bad. It's not like near collapse or anything like that. But essentially, the other side of the garage sits on schist, on bedrock, and so it can't move, and the other side is just moved a little bit. So, you know, they said it's not dangerous, but ideally we should do something about it. So that was kind of the hope.
And you could still pour the foundation or the slab at this time of year, I would take it, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
right.
Whereas you may not be able to do it in January or later January if we hold this thing over.
Depends on the weather. I mean, I've
True.
seen March.
And I think there's like a chemical you can add or something, or heating blankets.
Sure. It's like falling down that slope though, because
okay.
you know, it's all a salt product that really you don't want in your concrete. So we can do that, and it's more expensive, but it's better to use the real concrete without additives.
Now, one thing I do want to bring up though, when you were nice enough to come by and you know, inform us of everything we needed to do, you said to get a soil test done on the soil. So we did that. There was one level that it was too high on though. So I don't know if the liability rests with the company that it was purchased from or with the contractor. I guess it's the ETPH is at the commercial level, not at the residential level.
Okay.
So just being 100% honest, I want to tell you guys what.
That one we don't really have to worry about. So.
What is that?
We're whenever we see imported fill, we're concerned
Yeah.
about what's in the fill and where did the fill come from. I think that material is largely towards the front of your garage. I would think. And it certainly isn't towards the back of the garage,
No.
the imported material, and that you're largely going to be encapsulating it.
Yes, that is true.
So I'm not too concerned about that, but I'm delighted that you have it tested. Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be, as far as we can tell, it'll be underneath the slab, so it's
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
going to be contained. If you said so, you know, if the filter fabric wasn't enough, we could even use gunite or shotcrete or something to contain it. But you know, we're open to whatever it is that you'd like us to do.
We have some good experience with steep slopes and mats, erosion mats. So
Where's your well? Just curious.
It's on one of the packets here.
okay.
I think this one. It's in the front of the property.
The opposite side of it.
Yeah, fortunately, very far away from everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
on this one, so here's the house.
Right.
Brook. Let's see. I'm looking at this right. Okay, yeah, brook is here, well is out here in the front. So this is the brook, this is the pipe.
Oh, yeah, got it, yep, got it. Mhm.
What was the concentration of the ETPH?
I'm not sure exactly what it was.
We don't need for them in minutes, so. So, okay. I just don't want to park it. All right, what's everybody think? I mean, my inclination is that the faster we get this stabilized before winter really sets in and, erosion could, add to the problem, probably the better off we are, and Terry and Bob can help the homeowner and, figure this out. But, I mean, technically, it's not an activity in the wetlands itself, I would think, although it's close, because the pipe brings the water underneath. So but I'm open to any other comments people have. So.
Well, it seems like the way the water has been flowing has not been disturbed and will not be disturbed.
Right.
I don't see a problem with proceeding, delegating it to Derek.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any other thoughts?
I agree that it seems appropriate to delegate.
You're okay with it, Terry?
I am. I'm anxious for us to have a path to work on it, because I don't like even the excavation, frankly, being on top, open. It's not a good practice.
Yeah. Just so you understand, and Terry may have explained this to you, if we have to decide how to handle this, we can't do anything till next month. But if we delegate to Terry, he can act administratively to deal with it and give you and work with you and get an approval and a plan, and you could probably have it solved by the time we get to next month.
Right.
So it's a much more
I
efficient.
trust Terry. I'll go with what he said.
Yeah. So I think that's our consensus.
I guess
Jean?
it would be important to be sure that none of the fill sort of spilled out around the edges of the pipe, because then it would be subject to getting into the water. So as long as the fill is contained within the length of the pipe or far enough away.
Yeah, it looks like you've done a good job stabilizing. Yeah, but with between all these hay bales and the silt fence, it looks like you've done a very good job preventing it from getting into the wetland area. So,
I mean, you can see the difference. You have seen us when we have a person who is not being cooperative with us, and how difficult that has been in the past. And here we have just the opposite of somebody who's when appraised of the on short notice has both gotten an application in here and taken protective measures. I think that it's a lot more gratifying to work at this level rather than at another level.
Okay, we have a motion to delegate this to Terry.
I'll make the motion to delegate it to
Jack
Terry.
moved. Do we have a second? Oh, Joe, Barry seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So you can work with Terry, get it resolved, and get it stabilized. So, okay. Thank you very much for your help and cooperation on this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Should I just follow up with you tomorrow or something?
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Next item, Massaro Farm. It's not an application for residential development of lot, but it's the irrigation system we talked about last month. The agenda had a slightly incorrect reference on the thing. I'm surprised we don't have a million people here wondering what the Massaro Farm is doing, but anyway.
Yeah, maybe I can see that.
Yeah, it's a cut and paste.
I didn't see that.
But anyway, this is the application.
That'll be the day, huh?
Yeah, I know. So if you recall last month, the folks from Massaro Farm were here. They need to cross the stream in order to get the irrigation to the other field. We told him that, similar to this situation, because it was working in wetland, we couldn't decide. They have to wait till this month, and this month has come. we told the farmer that he did need to be here because everyone seemed inclined to approve it, and it seems like under Terry's supervision, there's really minimal, if any, risk to this, and in fact, it'll help the farm continue to operate and grow. So, unless we have further discussion, do we have a motion to approve the application for Massaro Farm?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to.
Okay.
Barry,
Okay. We'll say Barry moved. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Jack seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I have to abstain.
Oh, yeah, that's right. David's abstaining on this, so he's recused from the application. So, so therefore, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't vote.
I wasn't here last
Oh, you weren't. Oh, okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
But I wasn't here either, but I read the.
You read it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar enough with it by reading it? So
Actually, I have one question.
Sure.
Couldn't you build a little bridge, to carry the water across without going underground?
well,
I'm
but
just curious now.
the rest of the-
Discussion's closed, so I know it can't
Yeah.
impact the vote, but
It was a reason to go underground.
okay, that's another discussion.
yeah, I think it's just
No, they
better protected.
routinely cross that stream when there is water in it with machinery, and if you ran it above ground, then you would be jeopardizing the pipe.
Yeah, there was some reason for it. I think
And they
something
completely
happened.
drain it every winter because it's only for
That I read,
irrigation.
Yeah.
So.
So you need another vote?
And the reason they want to go
No,
with
we have
the pipe
enough.
is that
We
the
just
pipe
need
is
3 to
cheaper than
approve, so.
copper wire. So,
Okay, so that's approved.
Okay, all right.
I think. Delegate. 5-0. Okay. All right. Next item on the
So
agenda.
he'll be notified, you notify him on that? or-
Yeah. Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chris takes care of that part of it. So,
We publish it in the newspaper, all that stuff.
and we have no other new business. Let me just double check one thing to deal with. Enforcement officer report. Terry, anything going on we need to worry about?
I have no new news for you.
Good. No new bad news?
No new bad news, no new good news.
Good.
It's no news.
No news. Okay. We don't have any site visits because we don't have any pending open matters. Approval of minutes. In your package, we had the minutes from the November 18th meeting. Let me just see here if I have any comments. Anybody have any comments on that?
Yeah, I did. On the section of Massaro Farm, just the name of the farm manager is spelled incorrect each time. His last name's Munno.
Okay. You must not have written it clearly, huh?
I usually try to Google that if I.
Okay, so M-U-N-E-O, it's M-U-N-N-O.
Yes.
Okay, got that. Anybody else have any other corrections or additions or changes? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with those changes? Dave? Oh, Josh, moved.
All
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
David seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Gene's abstaining, so. 1, 2, 3, 4.
couldn't catch the
Oh,
spelling
okay.
because I didn't know how to spell it.
Okay, yeah, that's where we need your expertise. So.
Yeah.
All right, minutes are approved without change, no enforcement officer stuff. It's the holidays, so unless somebody else has anything else.
We should look at the meeting minute, or the meeting schedule.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Schedule for next week.
Yeah, if anyone has any, typically in December, we look at the schedule for the next year because it has to be filed with the town clerk. If anyone has any major issues with the schedule, I mean, typically we stick to the third Wednesday of the month, unless everybody's gonna be gone for some reason. The only time it sometimes comes up is for vacation weeks for people who have kids in school, but that doesn't affect me anymore, so. Fortunately.
You said that with such a smile on your face.
You're happy about that.
Well, it just shows I'm getting old, but anyway. But otherwise, what was in your schedule, what was in your packet or was on the table here, is what we'll adopt. So, any,
If I find, I go look at our calendar because I don't know
Yeah.
in my head, but I can.
well, plus
find it.
if we find that, 3 people are gonna be
Right.
missing on a certain day, we'll just move the meeting, have a special meeting. It just has a little effect on how you do the agenda and what you
Sure.
talk about, so. So unless there's an objection, we'll just adopt this as our schedule for next year. I don't think we have to vote on it, so,
I don't think so either.
okay?
Thank you.
All right, anything else, Terry? Anybody else have anything you want to talk about? Just, you got the email from Chris that there was a bunch of stuff going on, so we canceled our usual dinner that we have in December, so we're gonna try it in January. We'll send you an email around after the first of the year, so, okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
David moved, we have a second?
I'll second that.
Jack seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, we're done, it's 7:50.